Welcome back, everyone, to Learning English with Podcast Conversation. I'm Tony, your host, and I'm really excited about today's topic. It's something I think we all deal with, no matter who we are or what we do. Today, we're going to talk about a phrase that might sound a little intense. Force yourself to get it done. But don't worry, we're going to explore what that really means in a positive, helpful way. And joining me today, as always, is our wonderful co-host, Jenny.
Thanks, Tony. It's great to be here. And you're right. Force yourself can sound a bit harsh, like you're fighting against yourself. But I think for me, it's more about building discipline and pushing past that initial resistance. We all have those moments, right? Where we know we should do something, but it just feels so hard to start. Like, maybe you need to clean your room or start that big project at work, or even just make a phone call you've been avoiding. What do you do then?
Exactly. That's the core of it. So let's dive straight into our first main point. When we say force yourself to get it done, what does that actually mean to us? Is it about being extremely strict? Or is there a softer, more effective way to think about it? For me, it's not about being mean to yourself. It's more about recognizing the difference between genuine tiredness or needing a break, and just a lack of desire or a little bit of fear. It's about building a habit of action, even when the motivation isn't strong.
That's a really good distinction, Tony. I agree. It's not about being a robot and ignoring your feelings. For me, forcing myself often means ignoring the little voice in my head that says, oh, you can do it later, or it's too difficult right now. It's about taking that first small step, even if you don't feel like taking it. Because once you start, sometimes, just sometimes, the momentum carries you forward. Like, I often don't want to go for a run in the morning. My bed is so cozy. But if I just force myself to put on my running shoes, suddenly, going for the run doesn't seem so bad.
That's a perfect example, Jenny. The shoes are the key, aren't they? It's that tiny initial action. And that leads us nicely into our second point. Why is it so hard to start? We often know what we need to do, but we procrastinate. What are some of the reasons for that? I think for me, it's often because the task feels too big or too overwhelming. If I have to write a long report, I think about the entire report and it feels impossible, so I put it off. Or sometimes, it's just plain fear of failure. What if I do it and it's not good enough?
Oh, absolutely. The too big feeling is a huge one. It's like climbing a mountain. If you only look at the top, it seems impossible. But if you focus on the next step, and then the next, it becomes manageable. Another reason, for me, is often a lack of immediate reward. If I clean the house, it looks good for a while, but then it gets messy again. So my brain says, why bother? There's no instant gratification. And sometimes it's just pure laziness, to be honest. We're comfortable, and starting something new, even something good for us, requires energy.
Laziness is definitely a factor. We all have those days. But knowing why it's hard can actually help us to overcome it. Which brings us to our third and perhaps most important main point. What are some practical strategies to actually force yourself to start when you really don't feel like it? Jenny, you mentioned putting on your running shoes. What else works for you?
Okay, so for me, a big one is the 5-minute rule. If I really don't want to do something, I tell myself, just do it for 5 minutes. Whether it's cleaning or studying or doing some dreaded paperwork. Just 5 minutes. And often, after those 5 minutes, I realize it's not so bad, and I keep going. Or, even if I stop, at least I started. It breaks that initial barrier. Another strategy I use is to tell someone else what I'm going to do. The accountability helps. Like, Tony, I'm going to finish this podcast outline by lunchtime. Then I feel more obliged to actually do it. How about you?
Oh, the 5-minute rule is brilliant. I do something similar, actually. For me, it's often about breaking down the task, like we talked about earlier. If I have to write that long report, I don't think write report, I think open document, then write heading, then write first paragraph. Each step is tiny. Another thing that really helps me is to eliminate distractions. If I need to focus, I put my phone away, close unnecessary tabs on my computer. Sometimes the problem isn't a lack of motivation, it's just too many things pulling for my attention. And I also sometimes use a little reward system. If I finish this difficult task, I get to watch an episode of my favorite show, or have a nice cup of tea. It creates a positive loop.
Ah, the rewards. That's a classic. I do that too, especially with less exciting chores. If I clean the whole kitchen, I get to relax with a book. It makes the forcing feel less like a punishment and more like a necessary step towards something enjoyable. And the breaking down strategy is so powerful. I think it also links to overcoming that feeling of being overwhelmed. If you can only see the first small step, it doesn't feel like a mountain anymore, just a small hill.
Exactly. It's all about making it easier to start. And what happens after you finally force yourself to get something done? That's our fourth point. For me, there's this incredible feeling of relief and accomplishment. It's like a weight has been lifted. Even if it was something small, like finally responding to an email I'd been putting off, I feel so much lighter and happier. It's a good kind of tired, you know? Not exhausted, but satisfied.
Oh, that feeling is the best. It's such a powerful motivator for the next time. When I finally get myself to go for that run, even if it was cold and I didn't want to go, when I finish, I feel so energized and proud. Like, yes, I did it. And that positive feeling, that sense of achievement, builds confidence. It shows you that you can do hard things, that you can push through discomfort. It also reduces stress because you're not constantly thinking about the undone task anymore. It's done. It's out of your mind.
That's so true. The mental burden of undone tasks is huge, isn't it? It just hangs over you. Getting it done isn't just about finishing the task. It's about freeing up mental space. It's also about building self-trust. You prove to yourself that when you say you're going to do something, you actually do it. That's a huge boost to self-esteem, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that leads us to a really important fifth point, which is, when is it okay not to force yourself? Because we've talked a lot about pushing through, but sometimes you really do need a break. How do you know the difference? For me, if I'm feeling genuinely burnt out, exhausted, or unwell, forcing myself is counterproductive. It just makes things worse. But if it's just, I don't feel like it because it's boring, then that's when I use my strategies.
That's a critical distinction, Jenny. It's about listening to your body and mind. If I've been working nonstop for weeks and feel completely drained, then pushing myself further isn't discipline. It's self-harm, almost. My productivity will be terrible anyway. So, sometimes, the best thing to do is actually rest. Take a nap, go for a walk, do something completely different. It's about sustainable effort, not just constant grind. It's like a car. You can't just keep driving without refueling or maintenance, right?
Exactly. It's knowing your limits. And sometimes you might force yourself to start something, but realize very quickly that you're just not in the right mental space. That's okay too. It's not a failure. It's self-awareness. You can always try again later, maybe after a short break. It's all about finding that balance between pushing yourself and being kind to yourself. It's a journey, not a destination, right? You're always learning how to manage your energy and your tasks better.
Beautifully put, Jenny. It is a journey, and it's something we all get better at with practice. So as we wrap up, let's share some key takeaways for our listeners. Things they can start doing right away to cultivate this just get it done mindset. My first tip would be, break it down. Whatever the big task is, chop it into tiny, manageable pieces, even if it's just open the file or write one sentence. Just get that first tiny win.
That's a fantastic one, Tony. My second takeaway would be, focus on the why. When you don't feel like doing something, remind yourself of the positive outcome. Why are you doing this? What will you gain? Will you feel better? Will you achieve a goal? Connecting to that bigger picture can often give you the push you need to start. For example, I'm forcing myself to study English today because I want to travel and speak confidently next year.
Yes, the why is so powerful. And my final takeaway would be, celebrate small victories. Don't wait until the whole huge project is finished. Every time you complete a small step, or even just start a difficult task, acknowledge that effort. Give yourself a little mental high five, or a small reward. This positive reinforcement trains your brain to associate action with good feelings, making it easier to start next time.
Those are excellent tips, Tony. I hope our listeners find them helpful. Remember, everyone, it's not about being perfect or never procrastinating. It's about building consistent habits and finding strategies that work for you. Every little step forward is progress. You are capable of amazing things, even when you don't feel like it.
Absolutely. So go out there, try one of these strategies, and just get it done. We believe in you. Thank you so much for tuning in to Learning English with Podcast Conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who might need a little push today. We love hearing from you, so leave a comment below and tell us what helps you force yourself to get things done. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing.